And welcome once again to Investor's Edge. I'm Gary Kaltbaum, your host. Hey, thanks for being with us today. Glad you're here, ladies and gentlemen. Happy that you are listening. It is Friday, May 22nd, 2026. 3-day weekend coming up. Remember, Monday is Memorial Day. Memorial Day. It is dedicated to honoring and mourning the men and women who died while serving in the United States Armed Forces. Just letting you know. I don't think we think about that enough. You know, I tell you the story that when my kids were young, we'd do paintball, and one time I got hit in the side, and I was whining like a little baby. And I was thinking about it afterwards, and I mentioned on the radio show the next day, I'm whining like a little baby about a paintball hitting me. These people, our military, are dodging bullets and bombs and mines and bad people. Think about that. I believe with the Iran situation, 13 died, many injured, hearing about lost limbs. I remember a few years back, I went to a charity event for an outfit called Building Homes for Heroes. And at this event, let's see, you had soldiers there, disfigured, missing limbs. And they were as happy as can be. Think about that. And I've seen videos. You ever see the videos when a casket comes out of the airplane? Anyway, that's Monday. And we really, I don't know if we do enough. And we've been hearing stories about our veterans not being taken care of as well as they should be taken care of. We read stories about that. Let's hope that gets better. Anyway, I thought I'd spend a couple of minutes because I think it gets short shrift. You know, Saving Private Ryan, the movie, it's very realistic, I am told, except for one thing. Do you know at the beginning they were coming to the shores on those boats, and in like maybe 5 to 10 minutes the scenes were over? When I went to northern France, where all that took place, Omaha Beach and these other places, I was told, it was hours. It was hours. Anyway, all right, we're done with that. Next thing I got to talk about, and by the way, this is serious talk about everything that affects you. We will do the markets. We will, I promise. We'll do your job, your industry, the economy, war, tariffs, whatever comes to mind. But you know what came to mind today, and I hope you don't mind me being a little scattershot here. Have you read about Kyle Busch? Now, you may not know this, but he was a Major League NASCAR champion. Big time. I don't know where he ranks, but I think he's up there in top 5. He died at the age of 41. I guess he was in a simulator and collapsed. I guess for about a week or so, he had symptoms of whatever, and now they're talking about maybe he had pneumonia and it went to the lungs. And you know what we always talk about here, health, taking care of yourself, erring on the side of caution, alcohol is overrated, drugs suck, and all that. 41, wife, kids, take care of yourselves. I learned over the last bunch of years, I don't care how rich you are, what you got, what you do, if you don't have your health. Anyway, had to bring that up because it hits you. It really does. Next thing I want to bring up, and this comes from all of you. I received dozens of emails on NVIDIA. Yeah, we're going towards the markets now. Because NVIDIA reported magnificent earnings. It was down another $4 today in a market that was up pretty decently. Why is it selling off? Well, a couple of things. Number one, sometimes things repeat in the markets. And all I can tell you, NVIDIA, the last 2 times they reported, you know what? I take that back. The last 3 times they reported before this one, the stock sold off. 3 times. Beats the hell out of me. Just letting you know. The earnings were great. The sales were great. Don't know. Yesterday I said maybe it'll drop down to 210, 215. Well, it hit 215 today. Down a few bucks. The high was 236 about 7 days ago. I think it's still in shape. If there's anything, it's got a $5.3 trillion market cap, and it's tough to move those things. So just answering, it typically means a lot of people own the stock. A lot of people own the stock. Was there one other thing I wanted to bring up? Walmart. So Walmart stock got hit yesterday, even though their numbers were pretty decent. They came out and stated, and I double-checked that the lower income is not doing well at all, that their numbers were lifted by the higher income. And yesterday I said something to the effect of, how do they know who's lower, whatever? Oh, I found out. They know what they're doing, the tracking and credit cards, all kinds of stuff. But this is something that has to be watched quite closely. Lower income not doing very well right now versus. And they're putting off spending or spending less. So we're going to keep paying attention. The higher end, well, you got the markets. The higher end, well, you got real estate. Well, especially the higher end real estate were like moonshots. Now it's coming down out of fantasy land, and it continues. As I have told you, and I look this over every day, fantasy land in Florida coming down big time. Seeing it in Arizona, seeing it in California, a few other places too. We'll keep you informed on that. It's a buyer's market right now, and with interest rates ticking up, even though they did fall back a little bit today, interest rates ticking up, the price of mortgages goes up, the payment of mortgages go up, and I think that's going to be quite interesting going forward. Lastly, I have no information. I am privy to nothing. but there is talk that there's some sort of something between the U.S. and Iran, that a memorandum is being delivered, and on it is something about a 30-day this or a 30-day that, which would open this up and stop that. And I can tell you the markets moved on that earlier in the day, then backed away. We'll know soon enough. We thought something had to happen soon politically. Up next, market wrap, news of the day, movers of the day, and all that. This is the one and only Investor's Edge. So, when I say something needs to happen politically, you must know, doesn't matter which party it is, they make decisions based on the politics, unfortunately, and how it's going to move things and benefit this. And I don't know if you know this, but the president's poll numbers are horrific. Horrific. I believe some of the polls have them as the worst numbers ever for a president, believe it or not. And you can decide why it doesn't, we'll leave that be. And there is a midterm election coming up now, and we mentioned to you that they're doing this district reshuffling, and it's helped out the Republicans. But as of this second, they're still losing the House. We'll see about the Senate. Anyway, I can guarantee you, if the Dems get the House, they are going to immediately impeachment proceedings on any number of things, investigations of everything. I'm going to guarantee you the president's going to pardon himself and his family. All hell's going to break loose in the last 2 years. And by the way, we're not trying to sway you into anything. We're just telling you. And we kind of have a decent feel for what's going on out there. But it will be one hell of the last 2 years of the president's administration. And the chalk right now, I must state for the record, is for the Dems to get the House. And unfortunately, listen carefully, all the talk is, well, if the economy this and the market, no. The president needs to change his style, his demeanor. As I have said to you, the independents have run away. He's got to stop the name calling, I almost used not a good word. The ripping his own party if somebody disagrees with him, calling people losers, retarded, piggies. I can go on and on. So he's got a few months. But as of today, nah. Still out there, ripping this person, that person, and I think we're going to get the Dems. We'll see how it goes. Lastly, something I'm tired of hearing from every politician, and this is not just Trump, Trump was out today saying we're going to grow our way out of debt. He's full of crap. Biden was full of crap. Obama was full of crap. Bush was full of crap. They're all full of crap. Just so you know, every time we send them $1, they're spending $1.20, $1.30, $1.40. Every time we send them more money, they raise their bar on spending. I can tell you that in 2020, federal spending was 1.8. Next year, it's going to be 8 trillion. And when they tell you, oh, there's nothing we can do about it, it's all entitlements, that's a lie also. Of course, entitlements have gone up. By the way, I don't think they're entitled. Social Security is not an entitlement. It's your money. Anyway, we are living longer. Leave no doubt about that. It is their spending on everything that's doing it. Biden gets the biggest check mark for the $1.8 trillion additional spending that, by the way, goes into baseline budgeting, which means it stays every year. And I can tell you this. If I became president in 28, not out of the question, by the end of my first 4 years, we would have a balanced budget. You know how? No increase in government spending for those 4 years. And 1% drop each year of those 4 years. That would balance the budget. That's how easy it would be, but they hate us. They hate us. And as you know, a ton of them are retiring. Some have died in office. None of them care anymore. Anyway, the president said the usual, we'll grow our way out of debt. It is an impossibility because they keep raising the spending. Impossibility. Go look. Go search on Google or Alphabet, whatever they call it, and just go look for a chart on federal spending. Look at a chart going back to 2000. Talk about a moonshot. All right, so the Dow was up 294, S&P 27, NASDAQ 50, but I do want to let you know that the Dow today was up at one time, if it decides to come up, 5434. I take that back, 5830. It was up another it was up about 540, finished up 294, and the NASDAQ, which only finished up 50, was at 26,504. Was up about 220. So that came in a little bit at the end of the day. I also need to mention crypto. Ethereum completely breaking down. And looks like it may be headed toward the lows of the year. Bitcoin is stronger, but that looks like we mentioned the other day already, but it not only is it topped out, it just made a little stair step lower today. So just letting you know, a little bit of warning. Has not kept up in any way, shape, or form with other things that are going on. You know my thoughts on it and the MicroStrategy and the rest of that. By the way, MicroStrategy was 457 last July. It's 159 today. How about a Coinbase was 444. It's now 184. And how about Robinhood was 154. It's now 73. So just little warning shot. It was trying, it was doing better, but the stair step stop and they're heading lower. And the Ethereum one that has been praised to the hills, croaking. And that is the definition of a bear market. Simple as that. But on the other end, I have to tell you, there are some moves in individual names, artificial intelligence types. Wow. We'll talk about that up next. Rest of the market. This is the one and only Investor's Edge. So anyway, real quickly, again, the rumors are some sort of something's going on. And hopefully, listen, war no good. I think the cost to the taxpayer has been about 30 some odd billion already. I'm pretty sure that means 50. It's a lot of cake. Let me talk about something else that happened today. We have said to you in the past there are certain areas we don't touch, or we rarely do. One of them is airlines. I've never understood an industry that'll charge you more to go from New York to Boston than New York to LA. It's kind of weird, but I think the last time I bought an airline stock was JetBlue, when it after it came public, and I think we made some pretty good cake on that one. But the other thing we have not done, we've talked about it when it's acts better, but we have not played, and pretty much they're all pretty bearish, is Chinese names. And the reason is trust. And I just want to harken back to, I want to get the dates right, 21. Let's see, symbol EDU. These are educational companies in China, went from 200 down to 8. TAL at the same time went from 91 down to 1. No, not kidding. The reason is they came out, the Chinese government, and said that educational companies should not be profitable, something to that effect. And they destroyed their own companies that are from there. The other part of the equation is, we've been to China, and we've seen the ghost cities, not the ghost buildings, not the ghost towns, but the ghost cities. Buildings and buildings and buildings and buildings and apartments and houses that were built that are ghost. But then there's the government. What are they going to do, and who are they going to go after, and who are they going to be mad at, and why? Well, unbeknownst to me, FUTU is a symbol, Futu Holdings. They are online brokerage. Well, today was down 34%, down 28%, down $34 to 89 and change. It was just 168 recently. And what's the story? They received a notice of investigation and blah 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 from the China regulatory and this, that, and the other thing. And we're not saying they did anything wrong or anything right, but we've seen too much of this go on throughout the years. This one, that one. This one, that one. You know, the Jack Ma from Alibaba, he went missing for a year. He was not to be found, and there was thought, we'll leave it at that. Anyway, just letting you know, there was another episode today with that. But on the other end, I have to tell you, Dell Computer today, up $42, 16%. You ever heard of Lenovo? Symbols LNVGY. And they announced some pretty darn good numbers, the hardware and stuff, what Dell does. So that was up 18% today. And just so you know, doesn't trade a lot, and it gaps up and down every day because it's based off, it's foreign. But Dell, monster move. Recently, these AI Astera Labs, ALAB, in 4 days just went from 210 to 307. Not making this up. 210 to 307. Qualcomm, just so you know, in 5 days went from went from 165 to 247. In 6 days back down to 191, and in 3 days back to 238. Company's earnings down 7%, revenue down 2%. but AI. That's what we're told. And they're not the only ones. There are others that just pop out of nowhere. Just on, they sign this, they sign that. And by the way, we're not poo-pooing. We're actually like, wow. There's been a few. Where it stops, I don't know. All I can tell you, at another day were a few names. AMD just gapped up today, 20 some odd bucks before you can say boo. Was up, I think, 30 at one time, finished up 17. But Dell had a strong day. CRDO, I guess the cousin of ALAB, just went from 210 to 150 in 5 days. Up to 218 in 4 days. It just went from 150, the lows Tuesday, to 218. I've got no announcements. I'm looking for something like they found plutonium. Artificial intelligence. Hit that one. So just letting you know, there is that component right now. And you never know which one's next. And there's some ones that are, how do I put this? Yeah, I can't put my thumb on some of these moves. Companies now with valuations of 10 billion with 100 million in revenues. Will they keep going? Don't know. Are they still going? Yep. And today, some of the targets that I'm looking at, one of them just gapped up 13 bucks. No news. If you don't mind, I'm not going to mention which. No news. Boom, just 15 bucks. 8% before you say boo. Anyway, good day. Finished off the highs. Lots of rumors going on. Yields dropped a little bit. Oil dropped a little bit. Oil was much lower, but bounced a little bit towards the close. But for me, the story again, the semiconductors, which were dropping again, held that 21-day moving average. Just so you know, on Monday, was it Tuesday? Tuesday hit a low of 10,895, closed at 11,305, and in 3 days, 12,202. Amazing. 8, 9, 10% moves down and up in an index of stocks, not an individual name, an index of stocks. And it's all based on those two words. And I can't say it's not for real because the numbers that are being bandied about are gargantuan. The numbers that they say are going to be spent, gargantuan. And may I state for the record, they better come through with those numbers because I think there are some moves completely based on those numbers. And there are now some semiconductor stocks just coming out of left field. Just finding them out of nowhere. Been dead for a while. Synaptics, been dead. Came off a low at 64 bucks. Within 3 weeks, it's back to the high at 97. And 3 weeks later, it's 143. It just all rates a big wow. Up next, we'll figure it out. This is the one and only Investor's Edge. And welcome once again to Investor's Edge. Thanks for being with us today. One of our big complaints this week was the president and this ridiculous slush fund to pay off some of the biggest creeps that attacked the Capitol, which is just nauseating. I have to applaud because we asked them to grow a pair, and a bunch of Republicans grew a pair, and they are really speaking up now about this completely corrupt self-dealing by the president. What does that have to do, Gary, with markets, economy? The president's running the markets and the economy. So of course we got to talk about this stuff. Anyway, a bunch of senators are really driving to the hoop on this, and I am in hopes it goes by the wayside, because this would suck. And there's some nefarious pieces of crap that have come out and said, yeah, we're asking for $4 million, $5 million. These were people that were attacking policemen on the Capitol. Anyway, we'll see how that plays out. And, again, we call balls and strikes here. We couldn't care who the person is. We care about good policy and honesty and just doing the right thing. Doesn't matter whether it's Biden, Trump. I don't care if it's the next guy. We don't see the person. And anybody who has emailed me and said, oh, Gary, if this was Biden doing the same things that Trump is doing, you'd be crapping in your pants and cursing him out. We know this is fact because we saw what you did with Biden under Hunter Biden. Anyway, we're just very tired of the whole thing. Going into next week, well, I think the market's expecting something. Some sort of, the rumor is again about opening the strait, 30-day window of negotiations. The problem is, the sticking point again, I think Iran wants that nuclear stuff. There's rumors maybe there's a component in this. We'll see. But I got news for you. Even if Iran said, no, we'll be good, they're not going to be good. They're bad people. They're murderers. Murderers don't change their spot. We'll see how that goes. But I do believe the political component for this president is to get oil prices down. I just filled up. I get the middle gas, $4.89 in Florida. I believe I was paying $3.29 before all this. And I'm not happy. And I got $1 or $2. So Aunt Mary and Uncle Bob cannot be happy. And it's showing. So if I had the president's ear, dude, get this done. The other reason I think something's going to get done, the president's not going to his son's wedding this weekend. I guess one of his sons getting married or something like that. Which means there's things going on. Cool. Let's get something done. I don't have much to... If I had a complaint about the market, there's still plenty of areas that act terribly. But most of them did bounce. I can tell you got some bounces in retail. Got a little bounce in housing. But most of them are in big downtrends, if not worse. Autos, auto dealers, cruise lines, airlines are better. But again, we're looking for defined uptrends. And there's just not many. The banks, Goldman, Bank of New York, Morgan Stanley, moving into new high ground. Let's see if that turns into a big uptrend. Don't know. But those are the things we are looking for. And all I can tell you right now, you look at the semis and the NASDAQ and the NASDAQ 100, wow. The S&P also, because it's got a huge technology component. Huge. The Dow less so. But even the Dow now, I think finished right at the highs of February. Right at the highs. And I'm being asked all type of, well, Gary, I hear this is not good, that's not good. How is the market going up? I don't know. I'm told earnings are good. That's a component. And just so you know, you guys are reading a lot. I'm getting emails on the Warren Buffett indicator that is an all-time high, and that's bad for the market. Price to earnings, price to GDP. You guys are reading. So I see all that too. But I got news for you. I remember in 99, people saying how expensive things were. And the NASDAQ went up 50% in the last few months. So the market's going to do whatever it wants to do until it decides otherwise. That's how it rolls. That's how it goes. And I can tell you at the close today, even though off the highs, the frickin' semiconductors and the artificial intelligence. Bing, bang, bang. And some of the moves, outlier. Have a great 3-day weekend. Drive carefully. When you get home, do like I do. Make sure you hug your family and hug your children. They will feel better. You will feel better. I promise. Stay well. Be well. Take care, all. And travel safe if you are. Bye-bye.